But here we are back to Illustrator. So what I'm going to walk you through is the Pathfinder tool. It's really super easy, but it seems daunting in the beginning. The best way to get a handle on it, and this is with any tool you use, is just get some simple things and then do your complex designs once you get the hang of the tool. So I have two shapes as if I had two silhouettes. When you're in Illustrator, you always want to remember to call up the rulers. So rulers, show rulers. Why? Because you want to use the guide. You mouse down and you get the guide. And what I'm trying to do is get where that is going to land. So that's why we love our rulers, so that we can get this to be right in the center instead of eyeballing it. So the guides are very important when you're using Illustrator as a Pathfinder. And now we call up our Pathfinder, and Pathfinder is under Window. And here you are. And it's pretty much hasn't changed since the beginning of Illustrator. A couple of new things, but mostly what you see here. And what you see is what you get. So let's go through it together. So right away, if I have two shapes, those two shapes, let me bring the Illustrator over here so you can see this. So at this point, you could turn the guides off. Once you've got it lined up, they actually become layers. That's how important they are. So a lot of people save their guides on their layers as the software will do it for you. But I don't want it to get in our way so that we can see it. So you see I have two things selected. And remember, you get that little box when you have things selected. And you can mouse down and select everything such as I did, and it will collect it as a multiple because I've covered the selection like this over it, and now it has snapped all of it. Don't forget, you can also select it, Shift key down, Shift key, and then you also get multiple selections as well. So let's just go through some of the things that Pathfinder will do for us. So one thing, it will take two shapes and merge them to be one, which is super, super really good when you're designing things. So if you wanted to merge multiple shapes to become one, that's the merge. I'm going to Control Z, undo that. Now look what happens. It says, and it does say what it means. They should put it above instead of right where the cursor is, but it says minus front. So look what happens there. So now it really becomes a cookie cutter. Undo, and then here, only what the overlap has done. And also on this, it is a cookie color as well. So sometimes those happy accidents can happen. Now let's take this and select this to be not an outline, but let's take it to outlines as a color. And here on stroke, you can get it to be a little thicker so we can see it. And same thing here. I can throw this to be no color, which is no color here. Now it's a stroke with the color, and I'll bring it up to be a little thicker. And now what you have, and so you can do it both ways when you're playing with Pathfinder. Do it with solid colors, do it with just stroke. So you can take this and this will merge. So again, you have to highlight the two. The other thing that's very important with Pathfinder is that it must be in the same layer. If you have a shape that's outside the main layer, it won't work. You'll find that with many tools in Illustrator. If you're doing something with multiple layers, often they must be in the same main layer. So these are what we call sublayers, but it's still under the same layer. So that's important to remember to do that. So these are highlighted so I can do the merge. And this is what I was talking about, Akira, where sometimes you can merge these things to become one, and now you have a new silhouette that has merged three images, and you see the combo. Or you can go again to the cut, or the dissect, or the cut. Now here, if I ungroup this, then you can take this apart as such. And that one is also over here where you can divide everything. So you can hit divide, and what you want to do is see, right now it's a group. So you can ungroup it. Now they're all separate entities, and you can kind of push it away a little bit. And that alone can also begin to make some nice designs. So another thing that's important is that you can also take things that we call a rail. So if I have an outline, I could come up here to Object, Path, Offset, and it will create an outline around it, which is often really nice. And so that's something that's important to remember, because if you scale this, it often does not fit this. So then you can ungroup this, say okay. You can ungroup this, ungroup again. Well, actually, I think these are two. Yeah, these are still separate. So I could come up here to do this one, and then I could do path rail again, which is an offset on there. And now I have 3. So this is what I meant about being able to take your line to do different things with the Pathfinder. And again, if you roll over, it will tell you what they are doing. And the other thing I want to show you before we go on to break and come back and do more of this is what we call the blend tool. So the blend tool is really fun because you can take your brush and take, and I'm not using my pen here. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Come back, Illustrator. I can take my pen. I'm using my stylus now. Let me move these things away. And getting back to my brush, I'm just going to create something like that. It smooths it out for me. And this is the blend tool. So what you want to do is, they do need to be in the same layer. One there, that's good. The blend tool, right, is over here. You double click it, and then this pop-up window. So oftentimes, when in doubt, double click, things will pop up. So I don't want smooth colors, but I do want steps. And so I'll do 8 steps, and what that will do is I'll say okay. And this is what we call shape tweening. So it can be really nice if you have 2 forms of lines. You can do it with shapes, but you can also do it with lines. And what you're going to do is you click the points like that, and then it gives you the array of things. So if this was further away, and let's just say this one was thicker, such as that. You can also do this to here. Maybe that's a little too big. Let's get this a little bit smaller. As such. So again, you can go to double click steps, and you highlight. You see it clicks to the point. And what this does is it's locking the point, and then it can morph in between. So you can also keep it to be really thin, as such. And then double click, and you can do more steps. You can do 25. Again, this is what we morphing, this is what we call tweening, and it can give you another array, which is really nice. And then you can throw brushes onto this, or you can change this into like a radial design, whatever it may be. You can also cookie cut this. So you could actually do a mask, and when we come back, I'll show you how to do this. But this would get probably a little too busy for a logo design, but I want you to see how you can begin to create multiple new designs by the actual tools in Illustrator.